David, a lot's going on today. I want to ask you about what Justin Trudeau said. He has not ruled out the possibility of sending Canadian troops to Ukraine. Given he's on his way out the door in just the next few weeks, were you surprised to hear him say this?
Actually, no. I think Justin Trudeau, first of all, is thinking about his own legacy, the fact that he is over there right now at this big summit with all the European leaders and Volodymyr Zelensky, trying to send a clear message to Canada while the U.S. is wavering, more than wavering, basically going against everything that's been going on the past 3 years and aligning itself with Russia. I think Justin Trudeau is actually standing up and showing that Canada is going to chart its own course with regards to Ukraine and many other things. But also, we have to look at the politics of this. Just like last week with Justin Trudeau on his way out announcing a big, huge train announcement for the Quebec-Windsor corridor, high-speed train announcement, now you're seeing Justin Trudeau taking a very hard stance on Ukraine. Let's remember now, 1.4 million Canadians are of Ukrainian descent. This is a huge political bloc, and the chances are that we're going to be in an election campaign as early as March 10th. So that's 2 weeks from now, Matt. So the fact is that, one, I think we're talking about legacy, or talking about standing up against Trump, but also there's definitely a lot of Canadian politics involved in this hardening stance on Ukraine.
I guess I understand why he's doing it, but should he? I feel like he's setting up his potential successor to fail, because they have to decide now, do they fall in line with the old Trudeau administration party line? Do they court their own course or chart their own course for Canada? I feel it feels weird to me, David.
Well, I can understand that. I mean, sending troops, I mean, it's not something Canada does on a regular basis, is it? So I totally understand that it feels strange. But for me, my reaction to this is more about, because look at the next steps here. On March 9th, we have a new prime minister. I mean, Justin Trudeau is out in 13 days. And this new prime minister will probably be Mark Carney, unless something happens tonight and tomorrow over the next 13 days. But after that, Mark Carney basically is going to probably call an election very soon. So what Justin Trudeau is saying, much like a lot of people talking about the high-speed train announcement last week, we'll see if it ever sees the light of day. What the real questions are about European security and the conflict in Ukraine is, will Canada be joining this emerging European security forces bloc that is starting to take shape? Yesterday, the brand new, just freshly elected yesterday, German Chancellor Friedrich Merz said in a TV interview after he was declared the winner of yesterday's German elections, he said, we cannot count on the United States anymore for our security. And we have to think collectively about our security. The fact that Justin Trudeau is right there at this summit today with all of Europe and Ukraine talking about security, we have to make our peace with the fact that Article 5 of the NATO treaty is no longer, it's a thing of the past now, because the U.S. will not come to the aid of the other NATO members. Donald Trump has made that clear. So we have to rethink both European security, but also ultimately we have to think about Canadian security. And what that means politically is, are we going to get sooner rather than later to 2% of GDP in our defense spending? Now Europe is even calling on 3% of GDP. And so will we do that? Will we do those types of things? And will we align ourselves with this emerging European bloc? And because that's the third main bloc, right? There's the U.S., there's China, and there's Europe. Those are the three main economic forces and military forces. And so we're going to have a real conversation, because since the Second World War, it was clear we were aligned with the U.S. and NATO. But that has changed because of Donald Trump. So we have to think about the next prime minister after the next election, whatever it's Prime Minister Poilievre or Prime Minister Carney or somebody else. We're going to need to have a real conversation about how we align ourselves, because right now our interests are not aligned with those of Donald Trump.
So Justin Trudeau's using his last 2 to 3 weeks in the Prime Minister's office to make promises that he will not be around to fulfill. But one of the it's potentially the person who is going to be around to sort of fulfill those promises could be on the stage tonight in Montreal. The leadership debate is happening, French language. What are you watching for? Is this Carney's sort of debate or race to lose?
Well, obviously it is. I mean, he's clearly way ahead. In hockey terms, I put it, it's the beginning of the third period, and Carney is up by 3. And so it's definitely his to lose. What I'm looking for tonight, 2 primary things. One, the quality of his French. There have been some questions with some of the interviews he's given in French to French media, where his French has been so-so. Now, it may not hurt him with Liberal Party members who are going to vote in 13 days, but I think there is some questions that if he does like a major blunder, the type of thing that will become a clip that will run on social media, become a meme, and it's going to be on Instagram and TikTok and run for days and give a chance to the nationalist media to jump all over him for it. You want to avoid that. The other bigger trap is actually waking up the slumbering nationalistic passion. Right now, all the polls say that nationalism, language, independence, all of that is not even on the radar politically in Quebec. But you don't, if Carney stumbles on, for example, Bill 96 or Bill 21 and says something that sort of stirs up the nationalist response, sort of like what happened during the 21 campaign when, during the English debate of all things, Sachi Curl, asking a question to Yves-François Blanchet about Bill 96 and Bill 21 actually helped the Bloc. And it translated in the Bloc gaining seats over the Conservatives in the regions. And it did have a net impact because of that question that woke up a lot of nationalist sentiment here in Quebec and was stirred up by nationalist media. So I think for Carney, it's avoiding those landmines and playing it safe. And I think he will be well coached. I mean, he's been basically holed up since Friday and preparing for these debates. But, I mean, those are the 2 main areas I'll be looking at tonight.
Well, you said it's like he's got a 3-goal lead. 3-goal lead in hockey is the most dangerous lead to have, David.
Exactly.
Especially in Montreal.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if that's the best analogy right there. What are you expecting to see in terms of content surrounding the U.S. at the debate tonight? Are they going to be tackling this concept of Canada becoming the 51st state?
I think they are. I think Chrystia Freeland's biggest play that she has left to try to make inroads and try to convince Liberal members of looking at her and not Mark Carney is the idea that she's best equipped to deal with Donald Trump. And so that's definitely going to be a big piece tonight. Who has the experience? Who can do this? Chrystia Freeland is going to try to exploit the lack of political experience that Mark Carney has. She's going to try to frame him as an elitist who is disconnected with the reality of ordinary Canadians. But at the same time, she has to wear the Trudeau legacy of the past 9 years. And as finance minister, let's remember, in these current difficult economic times, let's remember, Chrystia Freeland's the one that when she was asked what she suggested Canadians do with rising prices during the height of the inflation crisis, she answered, well, they should cut on their Netflix. So she doesn't come to this with a lot of strength. She's in a glass house of her own, but I think that's what she's going to try. I don't. And again, these are all liberals I don't see Karina Gould scoring many points, especially in French. And so I think it's really about Mark Carney maintaining this idea that he's been very successful putting out there, that he is the serious one on the floor, and he's the one that could weather these economic and political storms with the U.S.
You just mentioned Karina Gould, but any room for a guy like Frank Bayless to make a splash tonight and enter sort of the...
I understand. I mean, Frank Bayless, great guy, businessman. He's going to try. I mean, he tried to get on the board a couple of weeks ago with a poorly conceived statement on the Israel-Hamas conflict, and so that didn't score very well. He's going to try to make some sort of splash, but again, I don't see. I mean, all three contenders other than Mark Carney are going to be looking to hit Mark Carney, and he's going to be prepared for that. So ultimately, I mean, it's going to be a very boring debate, in my opinion. I don't see a lot of opportunities for the three other candidates, but again, it's going to be if Mark Carney makes these mistakes that I talked about on these several different issues, French, for example, and nationalist issues, that could be the bigger problem, and not necessarily to win the leadership, which seems to me locked up at this point. It could come back to haunt him during the general.
All right, David. Well, we won't put you in charge of writing the promo copy for the debate, but we do appreciate the insight as always. Thanks very much. Have a good night.
All right. Take care.